together and we can't forget the brews. Coming to you live with the scoops like a ladle. Allow me to introduce the boxing round table. Yeah.
Rollo Jenkins, boxologist.
I'm chilling, man. Shit, watching TV and shit. I went on debated full counter last night. I'm gonna upload it tonight.
Oh, straight up. I just
full counter, boy. That nigga full counter funny, man. That nigga did not, boy. I had him all over the place. That nigga did not want to say. He did not want to criticize Floyd for Alex reason. He just kept trying to weasel his way out of it, you know. No, but you gotta understand, Floyd, you know, you gotta look at the details and why he's doing it. It's just a prop. I said, man, you assuming that it's a prop. Oh, but what we know for a fact is he's working with him.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, I don't understand how you can how you would even want to defend a fighter or anybody so much so to the point of no criticism. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't get that.
It's a shame, man. These dudes a trip, man.
And then, so I don't know if you've seen it or not. I put out a video, and my question was, when is it a good time for two fighters to fight? And is it, or is there a bad time for any two fighters not to fight? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Upload it.
So,
hey, when did you upload it?
Huh?
I said, when did you upload it?
I think yesterday.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna go check it out then.
I mean, cause see, that's my question to everybody. You know, cause maybe, you know, somebody could shed some light on the subject that I just hadn't come across. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand when is there a bad time for two fighters to fight? Like, because, and the reason I even asked the question is because I always hear this, well, Keith Thurman ain't done shit. Well, what the fuck did Robert Guerrero do? And I've been asking this question for about 4 days now to everybody who I talk to. What the fuck did Robert Guerrero do that Keith Thurman didn't do? So, when you say he need to do more than what? What did anybody do? Like, what the fuck do you have to do? When I think about it, there's always an excuse for certain fights not to happen. He's with a different network. He's with the wrong promoter. He got the wrong manager. So when you take a dude who fights in your weight class, he don't, you know what I'm saying? He ain't like a 154 who's coming down. He fights at 147. Y'all got the same manager. Y'all work with the same promoter. You fight on the same network. The guy been knocking dudes out. What other reason do you need to fight a dude? Like, what more do he? How many more reasons do you need to fight him?
Right. This is bullshit, man. All them niggas full of shit, man. I'm sitting down fans, man. Them motherfuckers don't like they'll say, okay, Guerrero was Floyd mandatory. That's why Floyd fought Guerrero. Now Keith Thurman Floyd mandatory. Oh, but Keith Thurman ain't did nothing. What the fuck are you talking about?
What about when Iodine was Mayweather mandatory for like 2 years? You know, my Iodine, he was Mayweather mandatory for 2 years. And then right.
Too.
Yeah. I mean, I don't understand it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that was the excuse for fighting Guerrero. But now there's an excuse not to fight the mandatory. You know what I'm saying? It's so inconsistent. It's always like some shit specifically to pacify whatever he's doing. If he go up, you make excuses why he go up when you know damn well he should be going down.
Brother, I got boxing waves, boxologist, they didn't answer the phone or fair shake. So I got JT though. So JT is me, 78 Boxing Talk, and Rollo so far.
JT, what up, boy?
What's up?
Man, I hope pull a counter call through, man.
You gonna try to get full counter call?
Yeah, I hope he called in. I told him to call in.
and we can get it cracking with when Pool County, you know.
Yeah. So look, real quick, everybody. Now we're gonna go around the table with this one real quick, because I want to hear everybody's opinion on this, because I'm kind of lost. When is it a good time, or when is it a bad time for two fighters to fight? And I mean in the same division. I ain't talking about, you know, a middleweight and fucking welterweight and shit. I'm talking about two guys in the same division who both won. Why isn't now a good time for them to fight? Or is now always a good time for them to fight, in everybody's opinion? You know what I'm saying? Let's go around the horn.
Well, in my opinion, I think once the fight gets to a certain level, gets to a certain plateau, gets to a certain, as far as recognition throughout the boxing community and as far as the fans, and if it's two fighters that's in the same division, I think they should go ahead and fight, because you cannot say let's hold out until it gets even hotter, because then if you do that, one fighter may, I'm not going to say suffer a loss, because I know we're trying to get away from that, but maybe one fighter may go a whole nother direction as far as his career is perceived, and then the fight really don't make no sense at that point. You know what I'm saying? At the point they made when they should have fought, like Keith Thurman, I thought, in my opinion, I wanted to see Keith Thurman and Sean Porter, because I thought they both were two hot fighters, two fighters that was being avoided. And okay, if we're supposed to be avoided, let's both of us get in the ring and prove who's the best of the most avoided fighters. You know what I'm saying? That's what I wanted to see. So, I'll pass the rock to Zone.
Well, I pretty much agree with that. I think that you should always fight and capitalize on who's in your division, because those are direct threats to your legacy and your run for the title. It's never a bad time to fight for the title. You know what I mean? It's never a bad time to fight somebody that's a direct threat to your legacy. You always want to seek out the challenges ASAP, on the pronto, on the double. You don't ever want to sit and let somebody else necessarily, or some circumstances, take your glory. You know what I mean? You don't want to ever put yourself in a position where you can't get the maximum glory for your opponent. And sitting there trying to let a fight brew up and make sure the stars and the moon is aligned just perfect, that doesn't always work. You know what I'm saying? You got to get it while it's hot. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I thought, and that's what I think. JP, I'll pass it out to you.
I think fights should be made when they at the pinnacle of both popularity and, you know, everyone wanted it. You know, like for example, like Mayweather and Pacquiao, I think that should have already happened. You know, but if Pacquiao wouldn't have got knocked out, I think it still would have been as big. But he got knocked out, so I mean, you know, it's not as big. But I mean, I think it should just happen when everyone wants it, when everyone's calling for it. You know, the fans are demanding it. That's when it should happen. But you know, it's other things that go into making a fight. You know, it's clearly with just the fans wanting it is not enough. So that's what I think. I'll pass it to 78.
All right. The way I look at it is this, man. I agree with what y'all said, but I think I focus more so on the ranking system. And I think that if you are a champion and you hold a title, then you are obligated to defend your title against people who are ranked in your sanctioning body, especially the mandatory or the number one contender. So once a person climbs through the rankings and becomes a number one contender, he deserves at that point a shot at the person with the title. I don't care if fans don't know who he is. I don't care if he got one arm. I don't care about none of that. I don't care if he ain't got no popularity. If he deserves he's the number one contender, so he deserves a title shot. That's the way boxing was supposed to be played. But now it's turned into, well, we got to wait for the fight to build up to get real popular. Well, that's just a bullshit excuse because, as JT just said, we still ain't seen Mayweather and Pacquiao. How much bigger can that shit get? You know, it's just, I mean, motherfuckers are just pussy. That's how I look at it.
True. All right, now let me ask y'all this. Since you say that, coming off of what you said with the ranking system, based on the fact that guys do fight for titles, what's the point? Like, if you fight for a title when you win a title and you ain't gonna fight your number one contender, what's the point of being a champion then, right? Like, I don't understand.
Right.
Like, if you get a belt but you don't fight the guy who's in line to fight for the title, what's the point of being a champion then? You know what I'm saying? Ain't that the point of being a champion, for you to defend the title against the next best contender? You know what I'm saying? Like, so sometimes that confuses regular folk and us hardcore fans, why some dudes get shots and some dudes don't get shots. So when we going on the what's a bad time for a fight, is there ever a bad time for two fighters to fight? You know, like, just going around the horn. Is there a scenario where there is a bad time for two fighters to fight? Boxing talk.
To me, when it comes to a big fight, it's never a bad time for two guys to fight. I mean, that's what they're there for. They're prize fighters, man. And like what I heard JT and 78 saying, when the fans demand it, man, you a prize fighter. So fans are paying to see you fight. You know what I'm saying? People who they want you to see. So I think you should just go ahead and fight the guys that's in your division, a direct threat, with no excuses. Just no excuses. I mean, you should fight the guy. Now, I know 78 saying he go up the ranking system, and I don't want fighters to always be able to not let the number one contender, if it's the number one contender there, to not get his shot. Fight the number one contender. Okay, I want to fight a big fight. Okay, if you fight the big fight, the guy that I'm talking about is a direct threat. That's a big fight. Fight that fight, and then the winner of that fight fights the number one contender. So that way, the number one contender still gets his shot. So I don't think it's ever a bad time.
Okay.
Zone.
Well, I think it is a bad time, but I just want to make sure. Are you talking about, like, if everybody's hot, or are you saying in general, Rollo?
I'm just saying in general. Under any circumstances, is there any scenario where two fighters in the same weight class shouldn't fight? You know what I'm saying? Based on the fact that and I mean, like, I don't mean like, you know, the number one guy should fight number 50. I mean, where, all right, this dude just beat whoever, and he's basically the hot fighter in line. So why shouldn't they fight? Prime example. Why shouldn't Amir Khan and Kell Brook fight now? What is the scenario that those two guys shouldn't fight now?
Well, like I'm saying, go ahead. And those, okay, they don't have a reason not to fight. But I can't think of a scenario where guys shouldn't fight. If they're in the same division, and if a guy, to me personally, is a repeat offender of cheating, you know what I mean? That's an example. If somebody's dramatically over the heel, because sometimes guys want to linger around, you know what I mean? Like, I think that Shane Mosley is a recent fighter that shouldn't have been fighting, in my opinion. You know what I mean? And people were getting glory off beating him because of his 2000, performances, because of his lightweight performances. When, to me personally, he hadn't really been so much successful at 147. And the same thing applies to Zab Judah. These guys are lingering around. Same thing applies to Paulo Malignaggi. I get it, you know what I'm saying? And I know Bernard Hopkins is age-defying, but that's like one person. A circumstance where somebody shouldn't be fighting, when they're using these guys that are past their prime to build a resume. Like, I don't want to look at your resume and see a whole bunch of old-timers. You know what I mean? I understand 1 or 2, you get a couple of legends on your belt, but just being exalted to the top of the food chain because you're beating old guys but guys coming in with injuries as well too. I mean, there ain't no excuses, but I think a good excuse not to fight or circumstances is something like, for instance, I felt like Sergio Martinez, all credit goes to Cotto, but I felt like Martinez lied to the public about the conditions of his knees. And had anybody with any goddamn logical sense knew that he was at least 70 or 80%, that dude was no more like 25%. You know, at that point, you should be honest with the public and either say, hey, you know, my knees are shot. You know, I'm going to try to do this. I may be successful, I may not. You know what I'm saying? Because that shit was crazy. That's an example of when fighters shouldn't fight. JT?
Man, I mean, I agree with what Stanley was saying. Ideally, that's how it should be. Like, go by the ranking system. You know, that would probably be the best bet. But, you know, you got guys, you know, like Mayweather. I think Mayweather got too much power in the sport of boxing, man, where he doesn't have to abide, and even Pacquiao, where they don't have to abide by any of those rules or anything like that, which I think is a little bit too much. And I think for the betterment of the sport, everyone should be just go by a ranking system, man. Go by, you know, who's your mandatory or whatnot. If they earn the shot, they earn the shot. But I do understand why they don't do the fights. So sometimes, like a no-name guy can earn his shot, earn that number 2 spot, and then, you know, it's like, you know, they got to make money, man. So it is what it is, dude. I mean, you know, we can keep going about the politics of boxing, but, you know, it's not going to change.
All right, 78.
When it comes to, I agree with Zone. I think that, you know, there's always situations where I think a fighter, two fighters shouldn't fight. It's not the right time for them to fight. The fight has dulled out. Like, for instance, 2 years from now, I don't want to see Mayweather Pacquiao. Honestly, I don't. I mean, that should have happened already. So, I mean, their window of opportunity is this year or next year, and then after that, I really don't care no more. They've missed the hype train, so I don't want to see, you know, these motherfuckers when they're not at their best. They both old and crepit. They both got their ass whooped several times, and then they come back to fight just for some money shit. I don't want to see this. Like, I don't want to see Sugar Ray Leonard and Thomas Hearns fight right now. For what? What do I want to see that for?
Yeah, right.
No, I think it's
right.
You know, it's the time for everything. You know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, can I ask a question? What do y'all think about fighters fighting each other in their primes, fighting each other when, you know, when both of the fighters are like in their primes? Because I'm a big advocate of fighters fighting while they're in their prime, so we can see really who's better than who.
Um.
Go ahead, JT. Can you talk about that? Elaborate a little bit more on that.
I didn't really hear what you said. You said fighting in the...
guys fighting in their primes. What do you think about guys fighting in their primes?
Well, let me ask you something real quick, Boxing Talk, since you brought up that. Because you're talking about a fighter in their prime.
Yeah.
How do you measure a fighter's prime? You can't really tell what a fighter's prime is until, like, for instance, when was Bernard Hopkins' prime? Was it when he was 30? When he was 40? When he was 20? What was his prime?
No, okay, I see what you're getting at. I'm gonna say his age prime. I'm talking about age-wise. I'm talking about like age. You know, the age of the fighter. That's what I'm talking about.
I know, I got you. That's cool. Okay, so you saying so you mean is there a window like from 25 to 30? Would you say that that's like the prime?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I would say that's someone's like physical prime. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like some people, everybody's not like Bernard Hopkins. Everybody's not gonna be able to do, you know what I'm saying, what that guy does. So I'm saying, like, you know what I'm saying, physical prime. Like I don't want to see Keith Thurman and Sean Porter finally fight when they're 35 years old. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to see it then. I want to see it When they,
But what if, but see, what if Sean Porter and Keith Thurman are better fighters when they're 35 years old? You don't know. Just like I think Floyd Mayweather is better in his 30s than he was in his. He probably had more skills in his 20s. I mean, more athleticism in his 20s. But as far as being a smarter fighter, like now, like the Floyd that fought Guerrero and Canelo, I mean, he barely even got touched in that fight. You know what I mean?
well, I'm going to say Floyd Mayweather was more dynamic of a fighter when he was in his 20s. I'm going to say he became, like you said, he became more defensively when he got in his 30s, which really don't make him a better fighter. It just made him more conscious of getting hit. I mean, he was more of a let his hands go fighter and still had defense in his 20s. You know what I'm saying? He still had the defense and he was letting his hands go too. So I'm going to say that was a better Floyd Mayweather in my opinion.
Yeah, I would have to.
I think he's better in the 30s.
I would have to agree with you on that one, Boxing Talk, because he didn't get touched against Diego Corrales or Gennaro Hernandez or Arturo Gatti. You know what I'm saying? He didn't really get touched in those fights. So you can't say his defense was worse, but he was beating the shit out of motherfuckers, knocking them out. So how can you take the Diego Corrales version of the guy and the Canelo version of the guy and say he's better against Canelo than he was against Corrales? Jay Tenet?
Because he's more experienced and he's fighting a guy who's 20 pounds bigger. And I mean, I think that's a bigger challenge. Man. I think Canelo, being at 22, 23 years old, he's 20 pounds heavier, and he's 35 years old, 36 years old. That's a more incredible win to me. I mean, Diego Corrales is a great fighter. I mean, he's great. That put him on the map. But him, guys like Canelo and De La Hoya, you know, those guys, that's what I think separates him from a fighter, man. That's the fact that he can go up in weight and fight bigger guys and basically dominate.
All right.
But
All right. Hicko, all right, we're going to go around the horn with this one. Now, this one, y'all might have to sit back and think about this one for a minute. How do you measure a fighter's value? Start with you, Boxing Talk.
On the elaborate on more of that on that subject.
Yes, sir. I mean, if you got to pass the rock, just pass the rock.
Oh, okay. I pass it to Zone.
Man, I think that it's really no such thing, man. I think that people place the value in the person because you start from ground zero, and everybody's 0 and 0. I mean, you don't know who's who. The only way to determine the value of a fighter is always ever changing. That's why boxing is the best sport. And I think that fans have robbed themselves and the general public of that. It ain't like other sports where it is an end to the season. And it's a start of new. It's a reset. It's a fresh start. A new beginning. With boxing, it's an infinite sport until you retire. And you're always judged on your performance in totality. And the boxer is always judged on a whole person concept, constantly. What he do in and out of the ring, how he perform, his skill sets, and we actually watch these guys grow at a different rate than other sports. Because every fight changes a man. We talking about fighting. We're not talking about your team play. We're not talking about who can play tic-tac-toe, spade the best. We talking about ass beatings. Okay? Fisticuffs. All right? Paul, listen. There is no way to really measure it. It's always ever-changing, and the public perception of that fighter is how that is determined. They put the value in a person. Because right now, Keith Thurman is not as valued as Floyd Mayweather due to whatever society deems is valuable. Okay? And right now we gotta look at society. Back then, Jack Johnson was very valuable. Joe Louis was very valuable because blacks were being oppressed. So they needed something that represented the opposite of being oppressed. Right now, we are free. Everybody get their tax return. This is the balling era. This is the have your pants sagging down era. And a lot of value is placed in that kind of foolery. You know what I mean? Those antics. That circus shit. All right? So it depends on the tide of society. And Bradley and Thurman are well-spoken, hard-working, but they're not as valuable. Even though one guy knocks a lot of guys out, even though the other guy can box his ass off, it's just not what's valuable to society. All right? I'm passing that to Sidney.
Yeah, I agree. I think to keep it short, I think basically the way they value fighters now is not on their determination and heart and what they do in the ring. They're valuing people based off of how much money can you make for me, all right? And, how much money can Showtime make from me fighting on Showtime? How much money can HBO make? And they value fighters based off of that. So, and they don't even lie to the public and tell the public that this motherfucker got a big fan base when they clearly don't, okay? They'll say shit like that because they're trying to market and value a fighter that they choose, that they see fit. And that's all it is, man. I mean, I don't see, I look at the shit like, I like fighters who come to fight, you know what I mean? You come in there and fight, I'm going to give you respect. I'm going to like you. I don't give a fuck if you take losses. Motherfucker, you have 10 losses. Shit. I love Terry Norris. I forgot how many losses Terry Norris got. He got like 10 losses or some shit. Right? But they don't change the fact that he's one of the greatest 154-pound fighters of all time. So, but his value to these new boxing fans wouldn't be shit. They, because they put their stock into popularity, female traits. They got a lot of female traits. What kind of shoes is Floyd Mayweather wearing today? What kind of hairstyle is Manny Pacquiao? What kind of car are they driving? How many Twitter followers do they have? Fuck that fact shit, man.
All right. Because it's real. Because even when you say the value of a fighter, like, because they say that some dudes aren't valuable. Like, for instance, let's say Keith Thurman. They say that he's not valuable in a sense or whatever. But if you put him in there with the right opponent, wouldn't that, Keith Thurman and Sean Porter, wouldn't that be a good fight? Or matter of fact, no, Keith Thurman and Kell Brook. That's a good fight right now, right? I mean, you live in Milwaukee. If they was fighting in Milwaukee, you'd be trying to get a ticket to that shit. If they was fighting at the StubHub Center, Jay Tenet, wouldn't you be trying to get a ticket to that shit? If they was fighting in GA, you know what I'm saying? I'm sure you'd be trying to get a ticket to that. So how do we say that, like, if Keith Thurman was fighting, Rod Salka, I'm not trying to see that. And I'm a big Keith Thurman fan. But if he was fighting Kell Brook and they brought that shit to fucking Ford Field or the goddamn Joe Louis Arena, I'm there. So why is it that a fighter, how do you create value as a fighter, and based on what? Who's like? Because wait, hold on. Like, if you're a fighter starting from scratch, let's just say like your pro debut, pretty much. How do you create value for yourself as a fighter? Besides, like if you're fighting and winning, beating motherfuckers and knocking them out, what else do you need to do to create value for yourself as a fighter?
It depends on several things because you gotta be honest, man. We don't agree with it, but this is what they do. They want motherfucking fighters to shuck and jive and cool and shit, man. If you don't go out there, then you can't just be yourself. You can't just go out there and be a family man, be a nice guy. That's boring. They want to see you, flash some jewelry. They want to see you disrespect people. They want, everything. You ever notice whenever somebody say, what do a fighter need to do in order to get this fight? It always leads to some ignorant shit. He should go. He should just continue to he's a number one contender. He deserves a shot. It's never that. It's always, well, he needs to go out and if I was him, I would go and confront him. If I was him, I'd do this and do that. If I was him, I'd do. Why do you gotta go through all these antics and all this fucking reality TV just to get a fucking fight? You're a boxer. He's a boxer. Why can't y'all fight? That's your job. That's what you're supposed to be doing. So that's just the new era, man. It's everything has to be centered around reality TV now and shit like that. That's how I feel.
Oh shit!
That's really true. I think, and I think a big part of it is